What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Thomas Gallery, and today we'll talk about artistic maturity. Now what I mean by that is, how does your taste for art grow or change over time? Okay? Maturity. Or what brings about that change, that maturity in your thought process when you're either making a work of art or looking at a piece of art. Okay? I know that for me, it has grown tremendously. I'll give you an example. In my youth, I was never really a big fan of going to art museums. I honestly don't know why. I just never really, just something that I never was really into. To me, I at the time I didn't see any point in going to see old people's works. People have been gone, dead for hundreds of years, and the paintings, some of them look all stiff, and I can say that at that particular time, I was artistically immature. Okay, I didn't really understand the significance of those works of art that was done hundreds of years ago. I didn't think about that. I just thought about, okay, well, I just thought it doesn't look like the stuff that I like. Therefore, it ain't good. That's me as a youth. Well, over time, I've realized that as I've grown and as I've gotten older and have experienced more life, and I've seen things good and bad. My perspective has changed. Like anybody else, you as you get older, your perspective on things have changed. Your perspective on things change. Your thoughts on your views on certain ideas change. Well, that also applies when it comes to art. Your thought process change. How you analyze things change when you learn a little more about the principles and you know the principles of art and pretty much the fundamentals. When you become immersed in the fundamentals of art, when you actually become a student of art instead of just doing it naturally. I I'm self-taught by nature. I'm autodidactic, self-taught, and I thought because I did things self-taught, I never needed to see how people before me created art. I figured, well, I already know how to do it. I can do that. I don't know about anybody else, but I know I can do that. It was confidence borderline and on arrogance. So I was immature then. But looking back on it, I could say that I'm immature. I could be honest with myself and say, you know what? When I was a child, I didn't know no better. I didn't know any better. I didn't get how Picasso was so famous. What made him so famous? I didn't get that. As a child, I saw some of his work. I was like, this, I could do better than this. But as I got older, and I realized a few things about myself and a few things about what it means to be an artist, the fundamentals, the basics, the rules and principles of art. I realized that what you see in front of you, can change over time. You can look at one thing at the age of 12, and then 20 years later, or 20 years later, or 13 years later, you can look at that same thing and have a totally different perspective on it. Okay, like I think it was a piece by Picasso, the first piece I ever seen by Picasso, or a reproduction of it at least. It was the Bullfighter. I believe it was a Bullfighter. And when I saw it when I was younger, I had to be like a preteen, or like I think it was like a preteen. I saw it. I was like, I wasn't impressed. As a youth, in my mind, I wasn't impressed. I was like, I don't get it. I don't see what the deal is. I just don't get it. You know, why am I going to these art museums to see these old people who were dead? I mean, whatever. I I don't see what the hype is. I wasn't feeling the hype. But as I got older, in my teens, in my mid to late teens, in my 20s, in my 30s now, I can look back on that same Picasso piece and have a different point of view from it. See, back then I was just looking at it just from a visual, like what I saw. I thought it didn't look like the stuff that I like. No, I was in the comic books. Still am in the comic books. I was in the comic books and anime. That's what I grew up on. So anything I saw and like graffiti also, anything I saw that didn't look like those things, I just automatically just shunned without even giving it a second thought. I didn't bother to think about the nuances of the piece, the time period. That stuff wasn't in my mind. It wasn't in my mind when when I looked like comic books, anime. I didn't think about the time period of anime or the time period of certain graffiti artists. I wasn't thinking about that. I just thought, okay, I like the way it looks. I like it. If I don't like the way it look, whatever. See, that showed the immaturity then. But the whole point is, I believe as an artist, we have to learn to grow and to mature. And I believe that if these principles and these rules and these values of art, if they're taught at a very young age, see, I didn't get it at a young age, so I didn't have a chance to appreciate it at a young age. I didn't come up being with it saturated with me. I mean, not really. You know, I have artists in my family, but I didn't see anybody really doing anything with it and pulling me along. Like, let me show you the ropes. Only person I can think of is my brother, my older brother, who's an artist and who took me to certain art schools and did collaborations with other artists, but I just didn't really get it at that time. As a young person, I didn't get it. I didn't see the connection. I didn't understand why it was all irrelevant to me. It wasn't graffiti. It wasn't comic books. It wasn't anime. I wasn't even feeling it. But artistic maturity, the maturation process that an artist goes through, is very, very key, very, very important. It's a pivotal point in the development of a young artist. And some people may get it, some people may not. Some people, I consider myself a late bloomer when it comes to that aspect, that maturation process as an artist. I was a late bloomer for many different reasons: environment, circumstances, many different things. But I feel as though as I get older, the more I experience, the more my artistic maturity grows. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. There are things that I still feel that same way, or I still don't feel certain things, but now I find myself pausing. It used to be if I wasn't feeling it, I would just dismiss it entirely. Now, if I'm not feeling something, I pause, and then I really have to analyze: do I not really communicate? Relate to this piece? Do I not relate because I just don't like it, or there's some actual reasons why? You know what I'm saying? So I see myself now. I start to pause and I start to really think and analyze. Let me analyze this whole situation, right? So that's my journey of artistic maturity. And let me know what you all think, right? Peace.